Hi, everybody. Welcome to Intermediate Read Aloud with Mr. B. We're continuing with our book Notorious, and this week's chapter is Chapter 8, Keenan. Ronnie Lindahl's house is a pretty good hike from mine, clear on the other side of downtown, on the opposite side of the river. I could probably make it on my own, but Dad insists on driving. 2 months ago I was riding the Shanghai Metro on my own, I informed him from the passenger seat. I took trains to visit friends all around the city, with more people than New York and Chicago combined. His knuckles whiten on the steering wheel. I wish you hadn't told me that. It's totally cool, I insist. Everyone uses public transportation over there. It's the best way to get around. He sighs. Fair enough, but here, a man's allowed to give his own son a ride without being overprotective. Okay? He turns onto Shore Road. I spoke to Bryce over at the gym. He said you're doing amazing, but you tend to push yourself too hard. Something about a karate kick? Taekwondo, I correct. If I could land it when I was 9, why am I having so much trouble with it now if I'm supposed to be so amazing? Have some patience, he advises. You were really sick, Keenan. I know you feel better now, and that's good news, but it's going to take a long time before you're 100% again. He pulls up in front of the Lindahl house and whistles. Nice place. It isn't a mansion exactly, but the house is impressive. At the center of a large, well-landscaped property, you can see the water beyond the fenced-in yard, and across the river, the wooded shoreline of Michigan shrouded in dusk. I thank Dad for the ride and jump out. Nobody answers the door, so I head out around the back. As I make my way, I start to hear hip-hop music and notice the glow of what might be a bonfire. There's no small amount of noise, but I can't see over the fence, which is almost 2 meters high. I'm searching for a gate when I come to a section where the wood slats are smashed and missing. There's plenty of room for me to duck right through into the yard. The first person I meet is Joey, who greets me with, "Hey, look who decided to show up." I survey the property. There are at least 20 kids here already, hanging out in groups, roasting hot dogs and marshmallows over the fire pit and dancing on a stone patio. I guess this is what Ronnie means by inviting a few friends over. Ronnie appears. "Sweetie, glad you could make it." I grimace. "Next time my mom Skypes in, remind me to kick you out." Joey indicates the hole in the fence. Keenan found the secret entrance. "Yeah, what happened?" I ask. Ronnie shrugs. "What do you think? Zudu's dog." "Barney did that?" I'm blown away. "A rhino maybe, but a dog?" "My folks had a barbecue," Ronnie explains. "Big mistake. The monster had a thing for porterhouse." He nods in the direction of the breach. "It's an eye-opener for me. I've already heard a lot from Zeeby about the damage Barney did around the island. This is a solid wooden fence, and he came through it like a bulldozer, snapping the slats like they were uncooked spaghetti." "Well, at least it can't happen again," I point out. "Barney's gone now." "Gone, but not forgotten," Ronnie agrees. My dad'll have it fixed. When golf season's over. Well, anyway, I say, great party. Ronnie skewers me with a sharp glance. "It's not a party, sweetie." I look around. More kids are arriving every minute. "What else would you call it?" "Ronnie's banned from having parties," Joey supplies. "Call it what you like. Call it Harold. But if the P word comes out, things are going to get ugly when Mr. Lindahl gets back from his trip." Ronnie turns off to play host, so Joey drags me to the fire pit where we roast hot dogs over the flames. By the time I put away 2 of them, I'm having a pretty good time. I recognize just about everybody from some class or another, but meeting them here in a non-school setting kind of cements the fact that I'm fitting in. I've been to parties before, Harold's, but nothing quite like this. For one thing, most international schools are in big cities. People live in apartments and not even the rich kids have this much space. But mostly, when you're overseas, there's always a feeling that you're a guest in somebody else's country. You can have fun, maybe even break the occasional rule, but you're sort of on your best behavior Not here. On Centerlight, everybody's home. Everybody knows everybody else, and you don't let anything get in the way of having a great time. Pretty soon, Carla and Gabrielle, two girls from school, bring me down to the waterfront. There are a bunch of kids wading in the river, some of them up to their knees. Believe it or not, my dad's already anticipated this. As soon as he heard Ronnie's address, he went into a lecture about how I was not to dip any part of my body into the mighty St. Clair. You could freeze your butt off in the water, were his exact words. You can also lower your resistance and get sick again. Don't be an idiot. The girls kick off their shoes and start splashing around, but I hang back. For some reason, I can't help thinking about something else ZB told me about Centerlight's gangster past. When there were too many government agents watching the town, the rum runners would deliver their shipments via the river to the private beaches. They used those flat-bottom Higgins boats, the ones that would become legendary as landing craft on D-Day during World War II. I could never quite picture it before, but this would be the perfect place for it. For all I know, Tommy Gun Ferguson once stood on this very spot, watching guys unload crates of illegal booze from Canada. The thought of ZB sours my mood a little. Practically every kid in town our age must be here, but not her. A lot of what she says may be pure baloney, but her complaints about being left out are 100% real. I feel a twinge of guilt. I actually considered asking Ronnie if I could bring ZB along tonight. What better way to reintroduce her to kids who should have been her friends all along? But in the end, I'd wimped out. I just got to candlelight. Who am I to issue invitations to Ronnie's party that isn't a party? I'm probably on thin ice of the guest list myself. I shake my head to clear it. Even though ZB isn't with me tonight, she's here just the same on this beach. And in the hole Barney made in the fence. In a weird way, she's like tuberculosis. Even when she's not physically present, her influence is still around. A faint spray strikes me full in the face. Carla and Gabrielle are splashing and waving. Get over here, Keenan, Carla orders. Water's great. I kick off my shoes and roll up my jeans. Sorry, Dad. It's not that I didn't get your message. I'm just choosing to ignore it. The water is chilly, although not as cold as I expect. Even at ankle depth, I can feel the river current. Farther out, a boy who's in up to his chest suddenly disappears. I'm terrified he's a goner and his corpse will wash up downstream in Detroit. But a few seconds later, his friends yank him to the surface and haul him ashore, choking and sputtering. Everybody's laughing and cheering, even the almost victim who's punching the air in celebration between coughs. Got it. Near-death experiences are just part of the fun. Carla and Gabrielle wade further to join some guys who are playing monkey in the middle with a football. I retreat to the shore and kick back into my shoes. The sun's all the way down now, the temperature's dropping, and the last thing I need is to get drenched. See, Dad, I'm not being an idiot. I retrace my steps to the warmth of the fire pit, which seems to be the center of things. On guard, barks a voice, and a flaming wooden stick whizzes past my face, missing my nose by about a centimeter. What is it with these kids and swordplay? His opponent parries at the blow with a hot dog bun, which instantly breaks in half. Stick and bread hit the grass, both burning. I stub out the fire with the toe of my sneaker, since neither combatant bothers to. Either that or they're both laughing too hard to notice. I catch a glimpse of a dark-haired woman peering nervously out a second-story window at the mayhem below. Mrs. Lindahl, I conclude. Ronnie's right. She doesn't like confrontation. She'd rather risk setting her property on fire than tell her son something he doesn't want to hear. Our eyes meet and she quickly turns away, shutting the curtain behind her. Now that it's fully dark, the yard has gotten a lot more crowded. We're almost belly to belly, so in order to move around, you have to kind of part the sea of people in front of you. I don't recognize a lot of the new faces. I get the feeling that they're older, 8th graders, or maybe even kids from the high school. The patio serves as the dance floor, if you can call it that. There's more jumping than dancing going on. The music's cranked up pretty loud. You can feel the pounding of the bass in your belly. The door to the Lindahl's garden shed is open, and there's kids play fighting with hoes and rakes. Someone's torn into a 50-pound bag of grass seed, and there's full-fledged battle going on as handfuls are flung in all directions. I catch a faceful, which starts me coughing and spitting. It scares the daylights out of me. I've spent the whole summer trying to stop coughing. I'm not anxious to go back to the bad old days. As I stagger around in search of breathing space, I'm nearly plowed down by a wheelbarrow pushed by a burly eighth grader. Riding in the tray are Carla and Gabrielle, both soaked to the skin and coated with grass seed. I dive out of the way, and the barrel smacks full force into the fence, dumping the girls onto the grass. The fence holds strong, which makes me wonder how hard Barney must have hit it to blast right through it. Lying on the grass, I catch a glimpse of Ronnie. He hasn't entirely lost his host with the most grin, but it's starting to sag around the edges. He's standing with a couple of adults, probably neighbors, who are shouting at him. Not out of anger, but because there's no other way to be heard in the backyard. I watch a word here and a word there, too crowded, noise complaint, and calling the cops. I get the picture. Maybe Ronnie's mother wants to pretend the P word isn't happening tonight. But if the police get involved, it's hard to imagine that the news won't find its way to his father. Ronnie disappears into the crowd, and a few minutes later the music dies suddenly over the rising cry of outrage. Ronnie is calling, "Come on, you guys, we gotta quieten down." A chorus of boos greets this announcement. People throw grass seed, marshmallows, soda, and the occasional hot dog in Ronnie's direction. The music comes back on at half volume, but the gathering's never the same. The dancers disperse and the crowd thins out, most of them exiting through the hole Barney made in the fence. The complaining neighbors leave too, still miffed but satisfied that order has been restored. I don't think Ronnie is ready for the condition of his lawn now that we can see it again. It looks like someone ran a cattle drive through here. Mashed hot dogs, buns, marshmallows, potato chips are strewn into the four winds. Grass seeds everywhere, but that might be a good thing. The lawn is so torn up that planting a new one can't be a bad idea. Joey runs into the scene, a toilet seat around his neck like a garland of flowers. "Ronnie, man, what happened? Where's everybody going?" "My buzzkill neighbors threatened to call the cops on us," Ronnie gripes. "They made me turn down the music." "So? Let's take it into the basement," Joey persists. "Plenty of room down there." Ronnie seems to consider this for a moment. Then he takes a long look at the wreckage of the yard. "Forget it," he says finally. "Let's get out of here. This place is boring." That's how I end up joining the migration of kids straggling on into the road in front of Ronnie's house. A lot of them are climbing onto bikes that lean against the fence, the full length of the Lindahl property. I take out my phone and start dialing home for Dad to come pick me up. "Hey, Keenan," comes a voice. "What are you doing?" It's Carla, perched on a mountain bike. "Calling for a ride." "Come with us," she interrupts. "I don't have my bike. Actually, it's Wayne Tice's bike, not mine." But this doesn't seem like the time and place to explain that. In answer, she grabs me by the shirt and hauls me onto the seat behind her. It's soaking wet from Carla's dip in the river. Are you sure this is safe?" I stammer. "What are you, 5?" She gestures around us with a sweep of her hand. It looks like the starting line of the Tour de France, with kids riding double and even triple on bikes in bold defiance of the Michigan cops and their rules. The challenge is clear. Nobody else has a problem with this. What am I afraid of? For starters, I'm afraid of being thrown off a speeding bicycle in the pitch dark. I'm afraid of winding up with a concussion before I fully recovered from my last serious health issue. But here, surrounded by my entire grade, this seems like the manhood test I have to pass. I stay put on the back of the seat. There are a few garbled arguments about what the plan is, and then we all pedal off in different directions. I hang on to Carla for dear life, positive that if I loosen my grip for even a split second, I'll be pitched overboard into the ditch. As we ride, the wind blows the grass seed from Carla's damp clothes onto me. It's all I can do to stave off another coughing fit. If there's a Wikipedia page on how not to recover from tuberculosis, I'm pretty sure I'm nailing it tonight. At first, it seems as if we're just cycling randomly around the western shore. Every now and then, we spot another bike from the party, and other riders yell insults at us and laugh their heads off. "Where are we going?" I call up to Carla. I'm just following everybody else, she shouts back. But no one's following anybody else, I protest. I can feel my phone vibrating in my pocket. Probably Dad wondering where I am. I'd answer it, but honestly have no idea what to tell him. We're in the woods now, and bikes are joining us from all directions, forming a convoy. Soon the pavement ends, and we're jouncing along what must be a dirt road. And then a sudden super bright light flashes above us. That's when I realize I know this place. We're on our way to the lighthouse. A few minutes later, our caravan of bikes pulls up to the base of the old stone structure. I jump down, savoring the feeling of solid ground under my feet. Joey seems amazed to see me and pulls me into a bear hug. Keenan, you came! Ronnie slaps me on the shoulder. You're a good dude, sweetie. As if being dragged along by a crazy girl counts as an act of loyalty. The lighthouse is locked, but Ronnie opens it by sliding his student ID card between the door and the jamb. There's a roar of approval, and we all tromp up inside the small building. Kids rush up the metal staircase, and a moment later come sliding down the spiral banister, whooping and cheering. As we climb, a few lunatics reenact WWE wrestling moves on the steps, where one false move could wipe out a dozen of us. The place is as bright as high noon every time the big light flashes on, and pitch black when it winks out. The chorus of ooh, followed by ah, is making me seasick. Queasy, I peer down over the railing at a surprisingly orderly line of people waiting their turn to use the Canadian bathroom. Eventually, everybody ends up in the watchroom, one level below the light. A few kids venture up to the ladder on the top to project giant shadow puppets on the shores of Michigan and Ontario. But the big lantern is so powerful that they come down fast, blinking and dazed. My phone vibrates again. Dad, now it's official. This time, I don't answer because I know exactly where I am, and I'm not supposed to be here. None of us are. The idea of breaking into a lighthouse must have seemed cool, but 17 of us packed into the watchroom can't find much to do. Pretty soon the WWE crew revives the smackdown from the stairs. Before anyone can stop it, an errant elbow catches Joey in the side of the head. He stumbles backward into the computer table and lands butt first on the keyboard. The big light winks out abruptly. We hold our breath, waiting for the next flash, counting silently. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Nothing happens. Dude, Ronnie accuses, you busted the lighthouse. It's not my fault, Joey defends himself in the darkness. Devontae pushed me. Yeah, Devontae mutters. Well, it's not my fault that the double-wide caboose of yours hit the wrong button. Phones appear to be and flashing beams fix on the computer. A few of the 8th graders lean over the screen, searching for a way to undo the damage. Somebody FaceTimes a kid named Ziggy who seems to be the school's tech whiz. But while Ziggy may be a genius at computers, he doesn't know anything about lighthouses. He doesn't recognize any of the error messages that are coming thick and fast. I step forward. Mind if I take a crack at it? The 8th graders stare at me. Who are you? That's Keenan, Carla supplies. He can fix it. He lived in Lesotho. I can hardly believe nobody questions that. But the truth is, I have an idea of how I might be able to get the beacon going again. It has nothing to do with the places I've lived, and everything to do with ZB's dad. What he did that time the Geek Squad was stuck on the bridge to the mainland Michigan. In the cone of light from several phones, I get down on my hands and knees, pull out the power cord, count to 5, and then plug it back in again, and turn it on. The computer begins to reboot. For a couple of minutes, all eyes are on the glowing screen. The silence is so total that we can almost hear the collective pounding in our hearts. And then the beacon emits its brilliant flash, lighting up the room. I get mobbed by every one of them, hugged, pounded, high-fived. Carla even plants a kiss on my cheek. It's a true celebration, and even though I didn't really do much, it feels good to be the hero of the hour. There's a rush up the ladder. Now that we've got the light back, people want to bathe in it. The euphoria doesn't last long. Guys, comes a voice from upstairs. Company's coming. I scramble up the ladder just high enough to be able to see out the window. They're right. Center Light is sleepy and quiet, but a single car makes its way through the town towards us. A flasher on the roof. Cops! Let's get out of here, Ronnie Balls. No words were ever less necessary. The stampede has already started. I'm climbing down the watchroom when a big boot from above stomps on my hand. With a cry of pain, I loosen my balance and land flat on my back on the wood floor. Stunned, I lie there while the place empties. Outside, I can hear anxious voices and bicycle tires crunching on gravel. Wait for me! I howl, throwing myself at the spiral staircase. I run down and around and down and around, and by the time I reach the bottom and scramble into the night, there isn't a bike in sight. I'm stranded all alone. No, not alone. In the distance, up the dirt road, a pair of headlights is coming my way. The flashers whirl above them. The police. And we'll stop there. The next chapter is called Border Officer Daryl Tice, Chapter 9. And hopefully we will get to that next time. Thank you for tuning in to Intermediate Read Aloud with Mr. B, and we'll see you next time. So long for now.